I want to begin by saying thank you to the St. John's Church family here in Egham for giving me a story of generosity to share. And I want to say thank you to Christians across our diocese who have been generous, enabling mission and ministry to carry on in these difficult times. The story of generosity that I want to tell you started in March. On the 16th of March, it was announced that churches were to close their buildings. But out of that rose a fresh understanding that the church is not the building, but the people of God. And so we moved our services online, and God's army, if you like, went out into the communities to serve the Lord. But the particular story about money was prompted in a way by Peter Howard, because he dropped in on our services in those early days and noticed that none of us had talked about money. While I had been thinking about it, it was at the back of my mind, and he brought it to the forefront. My reflections landed on the thought that actually the pandemic gave us a unique opportunity to talk about money, maybe in ways that we couldn't before. We needed to think about how ministry carried on, flourishing, not just surviving, even during hard times. And as economic crisis was definitely on the cards, we needed to talk more deliberately about how we support those who were affected. Our amazing partnership secretary, Leslie, was front-footed with this, and within a couple of weeks wrote a letter to the church family asking people to pray about what their financial giving might look like given the circumstances that we found ourselves in. Our rallying cry became, "There is no stopping this church." And that accompanied with a monthly ministry focus where we had various people talking about what ministry looked like in a pandemic, helped, I think, the people of St. John's Egham to really awaken to the vision we had as a church to really flourish this time, not just survive. And our prayer became that we would use all our resources, including our money, so that when we emerge out of this crisis, we would be a bigger church with a bigger view of who God is, a bigger view of who we are in God, a bigger heart for our community, and bigger with more people belonging to this amazing church family. And that became something that a lot of people felt they wanted to invest in, including financial investment. So the pandemic, interestingly, gave us a platform to talk about money in ways that we hadn't done before. The reality here is that we've got this wonderful church center, we call it the Easter Center, but we have a debt to pay off. And my thinking has always been, with £1.7 million owed, the space to talk about money is really restricted. But actually the pandemic showed me that the space to talk about money is expansive as God's generosity. And even in the circumstances that we found ourselves in, we were able to open a new hardship fund, and people have been so generous, enabling us to pay rent, to buy groceries, to buy computers for children who wouldn't otherwise be able to access online school, and many other things. The people of God at St. John's have really risen to the occasion with real generosity and willingness in this season to give their all to God. And now it's the autumn term, and today on the 6th of September we launched our Stewardship season, which is something that we do every autumn. And I say to the church family that the autumn term comes to us as a gift, to do a kind of spiritual MOT, to look at the talent, treasure and time that God has given us, and to ask searching questions about what God's purpose for us might be for this season. So what does stewardship season look like? Well, some things are the same. So we have written letters to our regular donors, just explaining what stewardship season is, with a leaflet teaching on Christian giving, giving a picture of how we spend and steward their money as a church. Alongside that, we have a preaching series, and this year we are basing it on the stewardship teaching material from 2015 called Generous Together. In this visual world that we're inhabiting, alongside that, something that's new, every Sunday we are producing a video on stewardship. Today we looked at what stewardship is. We'll be looking at a video of stories of generosity given by our partnership secretary, what it means to join a team, a video about the Easter Center and encouraging people to help us reduce our debt, and finally one from the treasurers telling us just how the money works behind the scenes. All of this is leading us to our gift day on the 4th of October, which I hope will be a time of celebration where we recall that everything that we are and everything that we have belongs to God. All good things come from Him, and of His own do we give Him. Amen.